This week on the podcast, I wrestle at the Nashville Fairgrounds and share some of the memories of the place with true wrestling legends like the Rock and Roll Express and the Boogie Woogie Man. Plus, my mom tries to break down an Ultimate Warrior promo. Enjoy the show.
This is the Art of Wrestling with professional wrestler Colt Cabana.
All right, how you guys doing? Come on in, sit down, relax. You're about to listen to the Art of Wrestling, a professional wrestling podcast. It's a life podcast. It's a personal journal. It's an entryway into the minds and souls, the hearts and lives of the people involved in the world of professional wrestling. I'm your host. My name is Colt Cabana. I'm a podcaster. I'm an entertainer. I'm a suit owner. Oh no. And not for the right reasons either. Oh God. I'll tell you what though, most importantly though, I am a professional wrestler and I am coming to you live from my studio apartment in Chicago, Illinois. Before we go any further, this is a fan support and listener support podcast supported by people just like you. We give it to you free of charge every single Thursday. ColtCabana.com, Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts from. Couple great ways that you could support, rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. I'm going to be doing a giveaway. Listen to the plugs and upcoming events. Rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, and I will be doing giveaways for the rest of time. You can also tweet. You can also Facebook. You can also Instagram. The best way that you can support, though, ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com, T-shirts, buttons, pictures, posters, DVDs, digital downloads, premium podcasts, wrestling, children's book, micro brawlers, keychains, ring-worn attire, and so much more. Great way to support ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com. I bet I can make that into a little jingle. Oh, there used to be a dude who listened to the show. I don't know if he's around anymore. He was like Masked Tweeter X or something. He would do the best jingles. He made a $5 wrestling song. I think he did like a Gordon Soley thing. I feel he could do a ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com, digital. Okay, all right. I'm just talking to myself here in a room by myself, just talking. I had a good week. It was a fun week, 2 shows. Well, on Friday, I went to the Deerfield Public Library. That's where I grew up, Deerfield, Illinois, and they have a podcast. The Deerfield Public Library has a podcast, and they asked me to be on it. So I drove to the old digs, to where I used to read books. Let's be honest, right? To where I used to try to check out the one wrestling book that they had, but it was full of memories. Your childhood, that's what it is. And sometimes I'll head back to Deerfield, and this was nice to do their podcast, so that'll be coming out soon. Then there was a nice little article written about me in the Deerfield Review. I think I retweeted that a couple days ago. You can check out my timeline. But then eventually I had to wake up early and head on down to Nashville, Tennessee, where I was going to be wrestling for Overdrive Pro Wrestling. And luckily, the belt collector, Austin Aries, had a rental car. I got on the flight. I went to the hotel. I slept a couple hours. And I was hoping somebody would pick me up. And it happened to be Aries. So Aries and I made our way to the building for a night of professional wrestling.
We're with the show, the wrestling.
Oh, the wrestling go right on over there?
The wrestling right over there. All right, thank you, ma'am. All right.
Now, I don't have a lot of... Do you have memories of coming to the Nashville Fairgrounds and wrestling? 'Cause I think we probably have the same coming for tryouts in early days of the Impact. Is that right?
I may have came here once, maybe the very first time I was tagging along with Diaries because he had some work to do. And it might have been here at the fairgrounds. I'm not quite sure. I do remember the White Trash Cafe. Was that the White Trash Cafe?
Yeah, that's where everyone got a free meal.
Right.
And it was like the greatest thing ever for a poor wrestler that they'd give you. I think I was doing a dark match and they didn't give me a free one. But I think someone snuck one for me.
Nice.
So you never wrestled here?
I'm not sure that I have. I'll be honest, at this point, it's all kind of blurs together. If I have, it's been a long, long time.
Punk and I did a dark match for Impact in 2003 here.
Okay.
And then I've done some spot shows over the years, but there's a lot of history to this building.
Well, we're going to make some history tonight, too. We'll put out of business. Gotta find out where we're going.
I think it's that building.
Is it?
Yeah.
I was trying to look for where the line of Bullet Club shirts is. I know where the venue's at.
Is that how you know where the wrestling today?
Or where the boys are. I'm surprised some of these shows I do now. I do the seminar or whatever, and then they're all got Bullet Club shirts on. I remember when I was training to be a wrestler, there was a wrestler named Isaiah,
And he would always wear a knee pad. He wasn't from the best part of town. We once dropped him off on the south side of Chicago, and I was just like, Jesus Christ. Because again, I'm from Deerfield, the nicer northern suburbs, and this was literally south side of Chicago. And I remember that being a wake-up call. But Isaiah had a knee pad, handwritten NWO on it. Wore it every day. Wore it to practice every day. And I guess that's the equivalent of like now the trainees, they wear Bullet Club shirts. Back then, handwritten NWO knee pads. I did have that memory with Aries of the one time we went. And I remember it was at a point in my career where I was doing pretty good. I was wrestling full-time for a living. I think if you go back, this was January 1st, 2003, I believe. And Bill Behrens had hooked Punk and I up with a tryout. We were wrestling for Ring of Honor at the time. We had just started, but there wasn't any weird heat or anything. And he got us a tryout, and it was no pay, and we had to get ourselves there. And I remember being like, I wasn't brought into the business that way. That's not how it works. You get paid, you get your trans paid, and you get a hotel and all of that stuff. But that wasn't in the books. But, I think we both knew that like this could be a great opportunity. And I think we had a good match. And that day, nobody saw anything in either of us. Although I do remember Mr. Perfect being backstage at these like weird Nashville Fairgrounds, which I'll talk about in a second. But I had to justify that for a payday. And I remember the marketing woman coming up to me and being like, hey, where are you from? And I'm like, Chicago. She's like, oh, wow, that's a metropolitan area. Can I give you some posters and you can put them up all over Chicago? And I was like, yes, you can. And I remember she gave me 20 posters, to which I then went to wrestling shows and sold them for $10 each. The gas down to Nashville was about $80. We slept there and back at a friend in Louisville, Kentucky, making a grand total profit of $120 for that match at the Asylum, I think it was called, at the Nashville Fairgrounds. And that was my life for so long. Bit of a carny, right? A hustler, something. And it's so fun to be here so many years later still doing it. And I'm not the only one here so many years later still doing it. The Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, was there at the Nashville Fairgrounds, and I tweeted this and put it on my Instagram, but I wanted to talk to him about it. There was a meet and greet beforehand. Well, first of all, I look over, and he's got these two lackeys with him, I guess you would say, for a lack of better words. And one of them is wearing this homemade sewed mask with no mouth or nose holes. So he's just wearing a ski hat with just holes poked through. And he would later come up and say he was a big fan and he bought a book from me. But you could see like the wetness around his mouth and his nose. And I wanted to be like, hey man, you can take this off. I don't know why. In my head, Boogie Woogie was like, hey, if you're going to come, you got to wear these masks because I got to sell these masks. And he was selling them. And he did tell me his wife would sew them and make them. So he's like, hey, we got to show the people these masks are available. So if you're going to be with me, you're going to wear this mask the whole time. And he did. But Boogie Woogie Man was there and he was standing on a piece of carpet. I thought it was so funny that it sparked a conversation between myself and Jimmy Valiant.
I've never seen this before in my time in wrestling. You've been wrestling way longer than I have. What does the carpet represent?
Well, really, carpet magic ride, man. Steppenwolf, remember the carpet magic ride?
Magic carpet ride.
There you go, brother. Yeah, I'm upside down. I'm backwards. When I write something, it all comes in, looks like Chinese or something, brother. Colt, I tell you what, man, I've been doing this 53 years, brother, man, and, standing on concrete and, man, I'm 75 now, brother, and, we all got issues so it's just easier on my feet, at my camp, it's all concrete, and I laid, boards out, 2x4s, so I make that. Get your feet off that concrete, because they'll kick your can over the years, And you get cold, and brother, you just don't warm up, brother, in the wintertime, So
this is for longevity here.
Longevity and Steppenwolf, man, Yeah, he rides on these suckers, man.
Hell yeah. And so do you.
Yeah, I do too, brother. Yeah, you too, brother. I love you so much, brother, man.
Are you wrestling tonight?
Yeah, man. We're going to wrestle, man. I'm going to kick it. And, hey, you just keep going till you. I'm 75, brother, man. started wrestling in 1964 and had probably 12,000 matches. Who knows what? I lost count at 10,000, man. And this is gospel, brother. It's something that this is the only thing I've ever done, and I just love the wrestling fans and the people. I really appreciate them. I don't take nothing for granted. I wake up and I praise God every morning. My eyes open up. I say, "Thank you, Jesus. Praise the Lord, and Godspeed to all." That's my prayer. I say it over and over.
Well, I hope I can follow you tonight.
Oh, are you kidding, brother, man? Hey, I'm your big fan, man. I'm gonna tell you, man. Hey, I just love to watch you work, and all the kids, all the young kids, man, and you're all young to me, man.
Right.
When I got in it, I was a young kid one time, in early '60s, when I got in it. Dick the Bruiser and Vern Gagne, and these guys were on top, man, and top of the world, and they were my mentor. Louis Martinez, just all the old timers. God bless them, and I turned around. Things happen so fast, especially in this business.
That's
man.
crazy.
Yeah, it happens so fast, brother. That I turned around, man, and all of a sudden, God bless, they're all gone. They're all up in that big ring in the sky,
But you're here and you're wrestling tonight.
There you go, brother. And hey, it's just something that I just want to just give back to the people. And hey, man, I'll wrestle for until God won't let me, man. If I can do it 2 more years, and that will be my farewell 2020. That will be my farewell Swan Song tour, my final tour year, if God will let me allow, and that will make wrestling in 7 decades.
I'd love to wrestle you.
Oh, brother.
We got to have a match.
Let's do it, brother.
Let's do it.
I love you.
I'm going to start bringing these carpets to shows, okay?
Oh, yeah, man.
Is that okay?
Get you one, baby.
Thanks, Boogie.
God bless you. Love you.
Appreciate it. Love you.
Thank you.
Jimmy Valiant actually refereed a match of mine, I would say 10 years ago, if not more. I would say probably 15 years ago in Lafayette, Indiana. Sean Cook was running a promotion there at the time, and the Boogie Woogie Man had decided he had retired. So I had desperately asked to wrestle him, but it wasn't in the cards. But Sean did say that he could referee my match, so I do have that memory, and I'm very proud of it. I would love to wrestle Jimmy Valiant. Although on the show itself, he was in a tag match. He wore his leather jacket the whole match and never tagged in. So one can only assume what the match between him and I would be. I'll tell you 2 guys, though, who are tag wrestlers and are still at it and aren't sitting on the aprons or wearing their jackets the whole time. These guys are still wrestling. They're still going at it. WWE Hall of Famers and just Hall of Famers in professional wrestling. I caught up with Ricky Morton about some memories from the Nashville Fairgrounds.
With Ricky Morton, who's probably wrestled 1 billion matches here?
And one.
1 billion and one?
Man, people understand. I'm still very accurate in business. 46 years. And I imagine I wrestled here. I had one of my first matches here 46 years ago against Tojo Yamamoto. If you remember him?
Yeah, I do.
He was a great heel.
So I had to do the math. What year was that?
Probably 76, 70, 77, 76, somewhere around in there. I graduated from high school in 1974, which I'm from Nashville. Great rivals, but when we started here, my dad was in the business, and man, I've seen some of the greatest. I've seen Andre John here. I've seen, Jerry Lawler many a times, which he was, him in that era. God Almighty, him and Bill Dundee, they were over like a son of a gun here, buddy, and they did a lot of stuff. By seeing so many angles, and you know what? And people rib me a lot about that son of a bitch is sold out, or this is because that's the way I talk. But you got to understand, guys, and they don't. Before they built all these big buildings, you had buildings like this. Didn't have fire codes. They put more people in this son of a bitch that you got to get a can opener to get out. You hear me?
So you wrestle here every week, right?
Every Saturday night for years.
For years it was totally sold out.
Yeah, buddy, this is the hottest territory in the country at that time. I mean, don't get me wrong, it'd go down. But being down, I'm just trying to say it's still a hell of a crowd here. There's still 2,000 or 3,000 people in here. I think this place had crammed 5,000 or 6,000 in here. But that was about a house, 2,000. But a lot of things. I've seen a lot of guys. Wayne Ferris, which is Honky Tonk Man, him and Larry Latham with the Blonde Bombers. God, I've seen them get their ass whooped and fight back and forth this arena, marks hitting the rings. Unbelievable stuff. But that's a different era, different time.
It's renovated now, but it must have been a real shithole back in the day, I'm guessing.
Well, no, at that time, I mean, it was a nice new building, but 46 years ago, you damn sure didn't have air conditioning. You hear me? All these doors are propped open. At the time, there was no music. When you went to the ring, you see all the curtains that we're looking out through here, ladies and gentlemen, through our dressing room. You see the curtains. None of that was there. When that door opened up, he was right to the ring. And everyone, marks were standing right there. Hey, listen, and when the heels will be getting heat, especially the heels will come in and be getting heat, them marks will be kicking that door will be bouncing off back and forth. That's why we used to have a lock on the inside of it. Because and then you knew when to hit the ring to run the heels off. Oh man, it's crazy stuff back then.
And all the wrestlers were just stuck in this one little locker room here.
Yeah, but you see on the other side, back then we never, you always kayfabed. The heels were on the other side. Same build, same gimmick on the other side of another corner. But now tonight, when my bag's out in the hallway, you look here, in a few minutes this will be like smell like feet and asshole all in this. I'm talking about. It's the boys' locker room. They don't give a shit. No. Perfect.
And after chatting with Ricky, who else do you go up to? Robert, of course. And Robert was one of my coaches when I moved to Louisville, Kentucky and wrestled for OVW for a year. He was a coach there. So we have a nice relationship. I've known Robert for a while. And, what was cool is he always had a decent amount of respect for me, which was nice. Some of the coaches, they treat you like shit. But I think Robert saw and knew that I understood at least a little bit about wrestling. I loved wrestling, and I was pretty decent at it. So it was fun to have him on my little podcast here and talk about his memories from the Nashville Fairgrounds.
Yeah, I started wrestling here back with Nick Goulas. My brother Rick Gibson was here, and this place here brings back lots of memories.
How old were you in your first match here?
Probably 17.
Yeah,
17 years old.
Was it packed?
It was packed. They used to have bleachers, and it was every Saturday night we'd come down here and work. It was a heck of an experience, a lot different. Every weekend, like 7 days a week.
7, not here, but I'm saying in this building.
Oh, this building, yeah, 4 times a month.
How do you run a place 4 times a month and keep people coming back?
That's a good question. We were talking about that earlier, like in Memphis, Tennessee. They ran on Monday nights, not a Friday, not a Saturday, on Monday nights. They did live TV on Saturday. And Rick Gibson and Jerry Lawler sold out Memphis Coliseum, I think it was 9 months in a row, every Monday night. That's over 10,000 people. How do you do that?
They were like, let's make sure everyone comes to the big Memphis building. But this is the fairgrounds.
Right.
Was it kind of like house showy here, or do they have like giant angles and stuff happening here?
I think it was just like giant angles. People believe they come out. I was talking about how people used to jump off the bleachers here. Get to fight in the crowd. I've seen fights in the locker room back there. It's crazy.
Yeah, Ricky was telling me about Coco Beware before.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Ricky Morton's daddy locked the door until it was over with.
Coco Beware went to town on one of them.
Steve Kern.
Yeah.
And that wasn't. That's back when Coco Ware hadn't even been in the business a year. He told him, he said, if you want more, I'll be in Memphis Saturday. Yeah, that was crazy. Jerry Lawler, he was the king here for years. Rick Gibson, you had Gypsy Joe, a lot of great guys coming through here.
And so what happens when you're just sitting down and talking about these guys and memories are coming up? They just want to keep on talking about their memories and their good times and just stuff that's happened. I mean, these are their war stories. So as I'm talking to Robert, Ricky Morton comes right back up, and then they start telling more stories. And Ricky's like, you got to tell him the one about King Kong Bundy. And Robert's like, yeah, you got to tell him the story. So Ricky's like, put that recorder back on. I want to tell the story. And so when he's talking about Chris, because that's what he knows him as, they're talking about King Kong Bundy.
This is Chris. I was wrestling him in a single match here, and back then they had the old rings that wasn't worth the shit. You understand me? You know what I'm saying? And he was big then. And his finish was a leg drop. And then we were having a hell of a match. So he goes to drop the leg drop, but, I move. But when I moved, the fucking ring breaks where his ass is. Okay, but serious, you're not understanding me. Look here. He went straight down, but see, he's a big boy, and his feet come straight up like this. And look here, it's like right here, and this motherfucker, my daddy was referee. My daddy's peeing on himself. I mean, he was grabbing, my daddy was, because you had to know my dad.
Yeah.
Now, he's so big, I can't get him out. Look here, the heels had to come out and get up under the ring.
And push him up?
Push up, the baby face had to pull him up. Shit, it tore all his ligaments and everything.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I was here.
Were you cracking up?
Yeah, I was young. I was too scared to crack up.
No, we had to get all the baby face. I asked Chris about that long ago. He didn't remember it. I said, you don't remember that?
How do you forget that?
No, I think he just didn't want to put me
Embarrassed.
over. Yeah, see, I don't think he wanted to put me over.
After telling the stories and having a good time and being around the wrestlers, we had a show. I did wrestle Austin Aries. There was a lot of nice wrestlers on the show. It was like a good variety of good wrestlers and that like sweet Southern local dude. And I love those guys. I love sweet Southern local dudes. I hope to be back for Overdrive, but I did have another show the next day. I was going to be in Chicago. So I flew home in the morning. I was going to go do a matinee show. But before I went to my next show, I was able to be home for a couple of hours and I was able to do some of my Colt merch. And I'll tell you what, it was not frustrating for me at all because of one of my great sponsors, Stamps.com. The U.S. Postal Service, they're reaching every household every day. And it's an important tool for any business. And I know it's weird to call pro wrestlers a business, but the reality is we are, they are, it is. Stamps.com, it's great for me. It brings all the services of the post office right to my fingertips. I go on Stamps.com. I got a scale that they gave me for free. I weigh my packages, copy and paste my addresses from whoever bought it, and then I print out whatever postage I need. For books, I use media mail. For shirts and stuff, sometimes it's first class, sometimes it's priority. It all depends, but Stamps.com will actually tell me all the options and I can choose what works for me. I'm not leasing an expensive postage meter. I have no long-term commitments. I've been using it way before they sponsored me and I'll use it after they sponsor me. You should too. Enjoy Stamps.com with a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus postage and the same digital scale they gave me. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Colt. That's Stamps.com. Enter Colt for a 4-week trial plus postage and the digital scale. As I was walking out the door to head over to Zello Pro, I just dropped those packages right next to the mailbox. My shipping was done, and I was off to my next show at Joe's on Weed Street, a legendary place in Chicago. Sometimes for the right reasons, sometimes for the wrong reasons. And I talked about Zello Pro a couple of weeks ago when I worked for them in Milwaukee. This time they were in the home base of Chicago. They're a very pro women's wrestler promotion. And I had Chelsea Green on my show a couple of weeks ago, but the only thing we talked about was that she was with Zack Ryder and she would go to Disneyland a lot, and I was kind of intrigued by that. But I'll say this, and I'm not putting anybody on the spot. That's not what it's for. But I know Ospreay was on a show with his girlfriend, and it was like titled Will Ospreay and His Missus. And I don't know, that kind of upset me a little bit. I mean, her name is Bea Priestley. And she wants to be known for what she is. She's a wrestler. Nobody wants to be known as somebody else's something else. And take this from a person, I mean, I know my role in wrestling. I know what I've done. I'm very proud of what I've done. But a lot of people won't accept that I'm something in wrestling because I'm somebody's friend. So Chelsea was on the show in Chicago, and I thought it'd be a nice opportunity to talk to her a little more.
Do I have to sit beside you?
What was that?
Just kidding.
Say what you said.
Do I have to sit beside you? You're smelly.
Oh, is that what it is?
Oh.
You know what it is? Because I smell like wrestling because I was on first. When are you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, let's talk about that main event. Just call me MEC, main event Chelsea.
We were conversing and I thought it was interesting that you said that was your biggest fear come to life. And now you're on the podcast and you're like, oh, me? No, I'm the main eventer, of course.
Terrible. It's a fear. I don't want to be. Come on.
So tell me what you were saying before.
What I really want to be is first. I want to do absolutely nothing except sit and have a beer while other people wrestle.
But you don't say this on the record. You're on the record.
Oh.
Tell me.
No, What? We were no.
Who said that?
That wasn't. Who was that?
I'm gonna do absolutely nothing.
What do you mean? Wait, what? No, I did not say that. Nope. I'm gonna work so. Just call me actually Workhorse Chelsea.
WHC?
WHC.
How are you so grizzled 2 years into wrestling?
That's what happens when you just have to put out these main event matches.
When you've been
I've been around the block. Wait.
You're not doing yourself any favors.
This is not going how I planned.
No, but you were saying like, oh fuck, I gotta be main event. You guys were stressing it a little bit.
Yeah. Yes, I stress. Come on. Look at all these dudes doing flying flippy things, and what do? I put on lipstick and I strut around, and then I have dance-offs.
Why don't you be a flippy thing person?
I prefer my dance-offs.
Well, you have to figure out how to make dance-offs cooler than flippy things. Have you ever broken your neck doing a dance-off?
No, and I do plan to keep it that way.
I think you get more respect in the wrestling industry.
I think the worm gets over more than the flippy.
You do the worm?
I can do the worm.
But you do the worm? That's like your shtick?
No, but I have done the worm in dance-offs in the ring. It just hasn't made it to YouTube. Yeah, wait till you see me on YouTube doing the worm. It'll be an absolute sensation.
I can't wait.
It'll go viral.
Also, there's a pinned tweet on your thing of like something that was seen 1 million times or something?
More than that.
What was that?
It was 2-point-something million. It was me getting killed in Japan. They literally threw a Japanese girl at me, feet first, into my face.
But it was on something. It was like on like Giphy or something weird, right?
It was, yeah. It went on Tosh.0.
It was?
Yeah, it went on Tosh. I didn't know that, but it went on Tosh.0, and that's how it originally got all these crazy views. He must have put it on his show, then retweeted it and put like, oh damn, women's wrestling in Japan.
Now say, Colt, have you ever been on Tosh.0?
Colt, have you ever been on Tosh.0?
No, and that's why I'm not the main event tonight.
Oh man.
TV credits.
Damn you, Tosh.
Tosh.0 and Tough Enough.
No.
Your TV credits are way higher than me.
That was not me. No, we don't bring up Tough Enough. That was not me.
I love how...
Never happened.
I love it. I love it. Everyone wants to be on it, but then like 4 years later, everyone's like, oh, I probably shouldn't have. Wait, let's all forget that.
Oh, it's so embarrassing. There's nothing about it that doesn't embarrass me. Like immediately my cheeks turn red when someone brings that up. I'm like,
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
That was someone else.
It never happened, and I will take that to the grave.
Okay.
It was someone else.
Good luck to them in their career.
Good luck to Chelsea Green on Tough Enough.
Have fun in the main event.
No!
Hey, I'll tell you what, they had a very nice main event. She actually won, and she became the #1 contender. It was a nice show. It was kind of mind-blowing, actually. It was about 1 hour and 45 minutes, maybe 2 hours. A matinee show. I thought it was perfect. Never have I been on a show where the promoter's like, yeah, it's a Sunday afternoon show. We're not going to run a 7-hour show. Fucking perfect. Jay Lethal was on this podcast talking about that exact same thing. And now, a couple weeks later, Zella Pro nails it. That's a nice promotion, too. And then the great thing for me, I drove 10 minutes home, back on the couch. I think I took a nap, too. And that was the end of my wrestling escapades for the week. Colin at Kayfabe News did make my mom watch an Ultimate Warrior promo, though. And it is what it is. And you'll hear that in a second, right after the plugs and
upcoming events.
All right, like I said, there is a giveaway. Review me and give me 5 stars on iTunes, and each week I will pick one person to send an autographed ticket to the DDT show I did in Japan. This is a ticket to the show. I'll send it to you autographed. One a week for the rest of my life. ColtMerch.com, digitalcolt.com is the best way that you can support Twitter and Instagram at Colt Cabana, Facebook /AOW Podcast, also /Colt Cabana. My storytelling podcast, Pro Wrestling Fringe, plus past archives of the show are ad-free and on StitcherPremium.com /Colt. Use the code COLT, get a free month. ColtWrestling@gmail.com is my very public email. Maybe you're a promoter, want to put me on your upcoming show or convention, or even be documented on this very show. YouTube, I'm always putting stuff up. ColtCabana.com is my website. You can send something to my P.O. Box. Upcoming this Friday, May 25th, Chicago, Illinois, Logan Square, AAWrestling.com. Saturday, May 26th, Cleveland, Ohio, AIWrestling.com. Friday, June 1st, Tulsa, Oklahoma, CompoundProWrestling.com. Saturday, June 2nd, New York City. I'm doing commentary for ROHWrestling.com. Friday, June 8th, Rahway, New Jersey, WrestleProOnline.com. Saturday, June 9th, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, ChikaraPro.com. June 15th, 16th, 29th, and 30th, Dallas, San Antonio, Baltimore, Fairfax, Virginia. These are all commentary for ROHWrestling.com. And then August 3rd through the 26th, Edinburgh, Scotland, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, edfringe.com to reserve some tickets. Also, I'm doing some wrestling up there. I've been booking some shows, but if you're in the Scotland area and you can get me back to my show by 11 p.m., I would love to wrestle for you. Tell your local promoter. Intro music by the Ukulele Teacher on YouTube. Outro music by Superfun Yeah Yeah Rocket Ship. Podcast cover art designed by Jimmy Lee. Photo by James Musselwhite. Thanks to Austin Aries, Rock and Roll Express, Chelsea Green, and the Boogie Woogie Man for being a part of the show this week. Our sponsors, HighSpots.com, a VOD service that's amazing. That show with me, Marty, Trent, and Chucky T is now up. A lot of talk about our genitalias. Find it on HighSpots.com. Also, AMA knee pads, gear, mask, so much more. OneHourTees.com. They help run ProWrestlingTees.com. ProWrestlingTees.com has a brick and mortar store in Chicago. June 1st, the Rock and Roll Express will be at the store signing absolutely free the 5-year anniversary of Pro Wrestling Tees. That is our gift to you. Come meet the Rock and Roll Express. Take a picture and then go party at Emporium afterwards, free of charge. All right, hashtag Ask Cabana Mom. Just tweet me at Colt Cabana, use the hashtag AskCabanaMom, and ask my mom something you want to know about in the world of professional wrestling. You can give her pictures or videos. She doesn't know much about wrestling, but she'll take it in. She'll watch it. This week, at Kayfabe News tweeted, "Dear at Colt Cabana's mom, we do not understand what the Ultimate Warrior is talking about in this video. Could you please explain it in simple English? Many thanks. Sincerely, your loyal listeners." All right, I'll play a little bit of the Warrior speaking, and then we'll go right to my mom dissecting it the best that she can.
Hi, it's Mama Cabana from her studio apartment in Chicago, Illinois. So I listened to the tape several times, and I really couldn't get much out of it, as I assume everybody else couldn't get one thing out of it either. It was like a foreign language. I think the Warrior needed speech therapy. But I did hear him mention Hulk Hogan numerous times. So I assume they were in WrestleMania opposing one another. My first reaction was, he so confident that he could beat the Hulk? Or on the other hand, did he lose all confidence about the match altogether? He seemed to be consumed with the Hulk. And I wonder who actually did win that match, since I probably didn't watch wrestling back then, or wasn't really interested in it, because Colt was just a young babe back then. I think the guy, or the Warrior, was a bit hyper and overreacting to whatever was going on in his mind. But like all of you out there, what was he really saying? Sometimes I think maybe he was just talking to Mean Gene about where should we eat dinner after the match. I really can't say that I understood much of it. So that's it from Mama Cabana. Until next week, thanks.
A babe? I think she meant to say a baby, but my mom called me a babe. Great. I've got that going for me. All right, this has been The Art of Wrestling. For Colt Cabana, I'm Colt Cabana. Thanks.
Oh, God, that was terrible.